Hey, IG. It's your girl, Y Renee. It's 7 o'clock on the dot, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you don't know who I am, my name is Y Renee. I'm a trauma recovery coach, and I am excited to be going about this this month's journey of talking about all things divorce. I promise you, these conversations have been good. These conversations have, I believe, helped some people who have been conversing with me offline, in my inbox, in my DM, saying, you know, what type of content that they're getting, the help they're getting, the things that are making them think differently, making them want to work on their own marriages because they felt like giving up, or they may in the process giving up. So I'm really excited that me going ahead and doing these things. Hello there. Thank you for joining me. Me go ahead and doing these things have been amazing. So again, I'm Y Renee. I'm trauma recovery coach. Thank you for those who are watching live and those who are going to come back on and watch the replay later. You all are amazing, and I appreciate you joining me. I'm just waiting for my guests to come on. So tonight we have Tracy Ricks will be joining me. I've only met her or talked to her through Instagram. I believe Clubhouse is how we met. And I'm excited because she's willing to share her story on here. So let's get into a little conversation. So when we talk about divorce, of course, again, I'm not having these conversations to glorify divorce or to make somebody feel some kind of way. Excuse me. However, I believe that this conversation needs to be had. I think that, you know, sometimes there are certain groups of people in society that are overlooked or cast down upon, and divorce definitely has a negative stigma to it, because it's basically divorce has, to me, it's always had a name of failing, and failing should not be a word that we associate with the word divorce, but however, it's true. And certain people have told me in their lifetime that when they've considered divorce, whether they've been married 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, doesn't matter, that I'm trying to see if I can get her to see if she's almost ready. Sorry about that, you guys. So when I talk about the divorce and things like that, like I said, it's always had the negative connotation. People always want to say that you failed, and sometimes we just didn't fail. Sometimes things did not work out. Sometimes we have to leave for safety reasons. Sometimes we just realize that the people that we're with, they don't have our best interests at heart. When at first we thought, hello, Miss Monica, when we thought that maybe we're making the best decision. Some people go into marriages without counseling. I'm a big person to believe in counseling, even though I did not get the counseling, the intense counseling I probably should have gotten for myself, pertaining to my marriage, knowing that if I probably would have, I probably wouldn't have gotten married. And then so counseling is definitely needed before, during, after. Hello, Unapologetic. Thank you for joining me. Before, during, after, even sometimes during the course of marriage, because I'll say this like I've always said it, and I'm going to keep saying it until I can't say it no more. We're an ever evolving people. I'm not the same person I was when I woke up this morning. Neither are you. Neither is your mate or anybody that you associate with. We're constantly changing. Things throughout the day will cause us to look at life differently. Maybe change some aspects. Change the course of direction of our lives. Things like that. So we have to remember that the person that you woke up with the next morning, when they come home this evening, they may not be the same person. Something might have changed. Something may have happened. Also, you have to realize that we're human. Sometimes we put so much on people when it comes to putting them on pedestals or expecting so much out of them that we forget that when they fall, make a mistake, disappoint you, have you feeling some kind of way, that they're human. They're not perfect. We are not perfect people. If we were perfect people, we would not be here. That's why, and just again, me being a woman of faith, that's why, you know, Jesus came back to save all of us. He came for an imperfect world and to make us better. So the things that we go through in life, they're challenging to say the least. However, you need to give the person that you're with a pass when Maybe they're depressed about something. Maybe you should just try to be a support system until they're ready to talk about it. Maybe, you know, the death of a loved one or loss, some type of grief has them stuck. What are you doing to assist them instead of just throwing in the towel and giving up because they can't pull out of it? Suggest help. And if they don't want the help, pray. If you're not a person of faith, then you have to do whatever you do to get through it. That's what I would do definitely now. I did a lot of praying in my marriage. I did a lot of praying for my ex-husband to change because he was abusive and he was narcissistic and manipulative and all that other good stuff. And a lot of times when I was praying, though, God would show me myself in some instances. Some of it, you know, really wasn't me, but some of it was me, and I could do whatever I could to help change me and change my attitude when it came to certain things. However, in the process of praying, God also eventually, you know, I think he had probably been saying it all along. I just was hard-headed and wasn't listening, thinking that my ex-husband would change. However, I believe that he was hitting me upside the head, tapping me on my shoulder, kicking me in the rump, all that other good stuff, and I just was ignoring it. But when I finally got it through my thick skull that the Lord no longer wanted me to live that way, did not want me to be challenged, did not want me to be abused, that he loved me more then I loved myself, and I need to learn to love myself. And I finally got that light bulb went off over the top of my head. That's when I started trying to make, trying to make my plan of escape, meaning that, you know, I had to make plans and be calculating, even though my plans, hey, Mr. Donovan, even though my plans was not actually what happened. Of course, you know, I tell people all the time, it was July of 2008, and I had, like, R. Kelly was the song that was playing all the time. I had got fed up. When a woman's fed up, that was my anthem, morning, noon, and night. And I was making my plan. How many of us know, if we're people of faith, that our plan is not always God's plan? And I believe that part of that, my whole journey in my life has led me to where I am today, because I believe as much as I've gone through, as challenging as it's been, as much heartbreak as I've been through, God entrusted me enough to be able to have a platform like this to where I could talk to you and encourage you, meet other people, and help them know that if you've been in a situation like I've been in, if I can survive it, you can survive it too. So when I started making my plan of escape, you know, I was looking for a second job. I was looking for an apartment. I didn't care about the house we were living in. I just wanted out. And when I say everything fell through, meaning nobody would hire me for a second job, and I had been on my current job like for some years. And I was very good at administrative work. You know, I was even looking for a job at like a burger joint, y'all. I promise you I was looking, and nobody was hiring me. And that's odd. You know, I don't know if maybe they thought I was overqualified. I don't know if they thought I was too old at the time. Maybe they were just saving it for all the younger generations to work at like McDonald's and Burger King, but nobody wanted to hire me. And I couldn't find an apartment that I could necessarily afford without being challenged. And I was trying to find in an area, of course, where I would be comfortable. So, and I can admit, at times, even though my friends laugh, I could be a little bougie. So, of course, I'm looking for really, really nice areas. And knowing I had other things to be responsible for, you know, brand new car and things like that, I had to try to live below my means. And the apartments that I was finding, I wouldn't feel safe there, especially knowing that once I was going to leave, that I probably would have issues with him trying to follow me and things of that nature. So I need to be safe. But everything fell through. Everything. And it wasn't until October 26th of 2008, we were supposed to be having company over, and we got into a discussion. I'll say intense fellowship, as some of my good friends say. And he threatened me with a beer bottle. And I turned around, and I had a knife in my hand. And I tell people all the time, you have to be very, very careful, because I never called the police on him before. Could have been a time where I went to jail if something would have happened. But that's my story. And thank God it didn't happen that way, that he put the beer bottle down. I put the knife down. I just grabbed my belongings and I left, only to return after going to the courts and getting a restraining order and taking some friends with me, or my sister back with me, to remove my items from the house that I could. But law enforcement is a whole nother thing. We'll talk about a whole nother day. So if we got any police officers on here that's listening, please, by all means, call me, because I have an issue with you all when it comes to assisting people come out of a domestic relationship. You know, they wouldn't remove my ex-husband from the house, of course, when I came back to get my stuff, which I felt was a problem. They let him sit in the dining room, which, of course, made me feel nervous. And then they literally only gave me, I want to say, 15 to 20 minutes to get as much as I could together. Now, mind you, he had just put me out maybe the week before. No, I'm sorry. Correction. That was a Sunday. He put me out on Sunday. I think it was like that Tuesday or Wednesday I went back. And when I went back that Tuesday or Wednesday, again with my sister, I could only grab garbage bags. I couldn't grab like big stuff like a computer, like my personal items as far as paintings. I accidentally left my jewelry there because I felt so rushed and so pressured. And of course, I felt some kind of way because even though the police were there to detain him, I also felt like hey, artistas, I felt like at any given moment, like they would release the beast, you know, like they would let him go and he would come after me, or he would try to talk me into coming back and staying. And I didn't want to have any conversation with him whatsoever. I had already initiated a restraining order when I left that day. But again, like I said, hindsight 2020, I never called the police on him anytime during our marriage and I was being abused, which I have my reasonings, not smart reasonings, but I have my reasonings. A lot of things played into it. Fear, didn't want to put anything negative on his record because I did love him. I did care for him. He also, hey, Kajay. He also knew people in law enforcement. His family was law enforcement backed. So every time something would happen to him and he would get in a little bit of trouble, they always seemed to bail him out. Or he always felt like he had a God complex and that nobody can touch him. So that also, you know, put something in my mind, like if I call the police, is anything really going to happen to him? Is anything going to transpire from him being arrested? And then again, once he's arrested and he gets out, how is that going to look for me? If I have him arrested, am I going to stay? You know, all those things play into play. So when you're a victim and you're in that mindset, you know, again, I can't deny some of it. For a long period of time, I did love him. When I stopped loving him, though, I guess the compassion in me, the Christ in me, and some of it still is where fear. Would always wonder like exactly what would happen if he got out, and how would he retaliate? How would he respond? If I stayed, would the abuse intensify? Because most times, truth be told, if you listen to some of the cases of people that have survived domestic abuse and done something like that, when they go back, it generally escalates. It doesn't de-escalate. So that was a lot of things that played into my mind. And then I had to make the conscious decision once he put me out not to go back. Now, again, we're talking about the judicial system. And that's what I'll talk about today because I don't know where my guest is. I text her and she's not responding. But anyway, when we talk about the judicial system, I have so many negative things about judicial system. Like, for instance, let's just be real. A restraining order happens because you want to put stuff into play. And technically, a lot of people think that it's supposed to protect the victim. I'm going to agree to disagree. It's a piece of paper that says that you've actually notified the authorities and the system that someone is bothering you to where you feel like you need to be protected. But however, it's just a piece of paper. And even though, let's say the person has to stay at least, let's say, 1,500 feet away from you. If I see you at 1,500 feet and I call the police because I see you at 1,500 feet, how long do you think it's going to take before the cops get there? Do you think that you can do something or come and harm me within the 15 feet? If I don't have anything to protect myself, or like myself, unfortunately, I was gunned down. No, my ex-husband did not do it. I do believe he had something to do with it, though. That's my personal opinion. I'm going to always state that because that's my fact, or that's my truth. But even though he was not the one who necessarily shot me, it happened 2 months and 2 days after he put me out the home. So let's just say you have a restraining order and you have a gun. So a bullet don't need to be up on you to shoot. You can shoot a bullet from 1,500 feet away. It may or may not make it. Depends on how good the person is that's actually, doing the shooting. So when it comes to restraining orders, necessary, but however, and I just really feel like a lot of times, like I said, with my instance of the police trying to assist me with, or coming with me to run interference when I went to go get my stuff out of the home, they, like I said, my sister's a witness. They rushed us up out of there. I think I was able to get like maybe 4 or 5 garbage bags full of stuff. Wasn't able to grab important paperwork, documents, things like that. By the time I left, even if I wanted to sneak back in the house, I never knew when he was going to be home. Then I found out he changed the locks anyway, so it wouldn't have made a difference. Then when I went to the court system, when I was going back in front of the judge with it, the judge basically told me he wasn't going to keep going back and forth with me either. I was going to, because when we did the first restraining order, I went and at first it was supposed to be criminal because he pushed me. But of course, still fearful, not knowing what the retaliation would be, I changed it to civil. So when we did the civil thing, he showed up. They made it a mutual restraining order, meaning we weren't supposed to excessively talk to each other, but because we had a house and other things to discuss, whether or not we were going to get back together, which I was not. And well, let me not say that. If he would have gotten help, who knows? Possibly. If I had kids, who knows? Possibly. However, when we put the mutual restraining order together, he violated that too. It was just like it never existed. I mean, even though I wasn't answering the phone, he was calling all hours of the night, all times of the day, trying to have a conversation, leaving me messages, and following me to my job, following my friends and things like that. It became very aggressive, and then he threatened me. I think it was like a Monday or a Tuesday right before Thanksgiving, and I was going out of town, so I went back to the judicial system right before I went out of town, told them I wanted to reinstate the full restraining order, and the judge basically told me, you can't keep coming back and forth in my courtroom like this, so either rescind the restraining order or file for divorce, because I'm not going to keep going through this with you. I mean, just very nasty. And how do you tell somebody who's going through something like that's just ridiculous? I'm so heartless, just not even caring. Maybe because it ain't, maybe he sees cases every day. And I'm quite sure, being on this side, I'm an advocate. I hear the stories. I know there are people who go back. And maybe he thought I was one of those people who go back. But regardless if that's the way you feel, regardless if that's what you see, you have to treat each individual case as if it's a new case and you've never seen it before. You don't know what my mindset was. What if I was somebody at that time, and I had been in the past, but what if I was very suicidal at that time, and me walking out, you gave me no hope, none. So somebody like that would have thought, well, you know what, just forget it all. I'm just going to go kill myself. Then I don't have to worry about coming back to court. I don't have to worry about going back to him. I don't have to worry about divorcing or nothing. And in my life, it's such a thin line emotionally when it comes to all of that stuff. And some of these judges, some of these police officers, disrespectful. I have several friends in law enforcement, and when they hear some of the stories I tell them, they're disappointed because they've never necessarily had to face anything like that. But however, to their brothers and sisters in blue who act like that, especially when it's hit close to home and it's somebody that that's going through that, they feel some kind of way. And I promise you, I felt so disrespected through the process. I felt this small. So not saying that I wasn't going to do it. Like I said, I wasn't really sure. Didn't think I wanted to do it that fast. Know some things had to change or whatever have you. So I ended up probably filing quicker than I probably wanted to. Because my thing is, when you're doing a divorce, you need to be calculated. You need to be specific. You need to do a little research, and if you're going to do it yourself, even though they have templates of these forms, you got to make sure that you go through, dot every I, cross every T, change the language to fit yourself, because of course they're just templates. If you have property, don't have property. If you, some things happen, you got to put all of that stuff in there. You have to decide what type of divorce it is. And my thing was, into the very end, being a wife, when you're a wife, a true wife, you want to protect your spouse. Just like a husband should protect their wife. A wife wants to protect her spouse. So even to the very end, I was really concerned with what people would think about him. Now I could care less. Of course, this is, I've been divorced now 11 years, out of the relationship 13 years. However, back then I was still concerned about how people would see him, whatever have you. So I had every right to put mental cruelty, infidelity, irreconcilable differences, and it's a couple others that somebody else has told me that I never thought of using, where I could have did some more research. But one that stuck out to me when I first started looking up the terms, the first one that came out to me right away was irretrievable breakdown of a marriage. And that's the term that I used because I just felt like my marriage was broken, and I just really didn't feel like it was anything that we could do to fix it. There was no mending. I started getting angry during the process because now that I'm free, and I asked you to give me space so I can clear my head, so I can think about some things, so I can talk to God and consult Him. You constantly want to still be controlled. That narcissist, you want to be in control. You want to make the phone calls. You want to constantly be in my ear, which pissed me off, excuse my French, even further, and made it definitely difficult for me to actually even concentrate. So I went about this whole thing just kind of quickly. It all happened quickly. So I can give you the timeline from October to the time I got shot. So October 26th, I got thrown out of my home. I went and filed a restraining order. Well, they put it into the system. So for Monday, I ended up having to go to court. That's when I had to change it from, hello there. That's when I had to change it from, what do you call it? I had to change it from criminal to civil. So that was some more paperwork I had to do. So because he wasn't in court, they had to serve him. Then I came back to court, I want to say like the second week of November. I don't know the exact date. Second week of November. And then we got a mutual restraining order. That's when the judge told me, you got to figure it out, talk to each other, whatever have you. And no sooner, I promise you, I walked out the courthouse, I got in my car, I may have gotten 3 minutes away from the courthouse, and here he goes, start calling, asking me 50 million questions, want to talk, want to meet. And I'm like, dude, we just left the courthouse, just chill for a minute. And then every day after that, every day, all day, constantly calling me. And then the week of Thanksgiving that year, so I'm going to say like roughly like the 20th, 21st, something like that. He called me that morning and said he didn't care what I was going to do. He was going to meet me at my job, and I was going to talk to him, and I ain't had no choice. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So how about I leave work, go a different way so you won't know where I am, and I'm going to go back to the courthouse, and I'm going to change the restraining order. Did that. The judge told me I had to make up my mind, real nasty, like I said. So I came home. I went out of town, sat with my family, discussed it with some family members, and then I came home and started researching documentation, going to the courthouse, getting their templates, looking up stuff, how to fill it out, and I sat there and changed it. So on December 8th, I actually filed for divorce. And when you file for divorce, if you're not going through attorneys, you have to go to the courthouse. You got to pay a fee. They stamp it. And I know sometimes with domestic violence, there are fees that could be waived, but I don't think I really was thinking along those lines. So I really didn't look into it. So I paid the fees to file it. I paid the fees for the sheriffs to serve him. I don't remember exactly what day they served him, but I know he was served because he showed up in court. But he came up with a story, and that was December 17th. He came up with a story saying he didn't realize that we weren't there for the divorce because we weren't there for the divorce because he never filed a motion against the divorce. What we were there for was the continuance of the restraining order. And he claimed he didn't know nothing about that, so he wasn't prepared, and the judge didn't see that he was stalling or, off his rocker. So he continued it till after the first of the year. Because now we're going into Christmas. And court systems are generally closed the weeks of Christmas and New Year's. If you didn't know, now you know. So they continued it after the first year. I believe my court date was like January 7th. Yeah, like the 6th or the 7th. Reason why I know that is because a week or so after that was when I was coming home from church service. Everybody knows the story, but I was coming home from church service, and in front of my home, I was gunned down. I was shot 4 times. I ended up in the hospital. I was in the hospital, actually got out the day before I was supposed to go to court, so I could not go to court. So I had some friends in law enforcement go and represent me to the judge and tell the judge exactly what transpired. That's a whole nother story for another day. That's a real funny story because I love this. I love it when God intervenes when people think they're going to get over. And my ex-husband thought he was going to get over, and he did not. So, that whole court system process, and then after that, because there was a restraining order, I was told we couldn't talk anymore, so I had to get an attorney because I could not represent myself because with the restraining order, we're not supposed to talk. So I can't talk to him, he can't talk to me, which is really funny. Technically, I could talk to him, but he couldn't talk to me because the funniest thing about restraining orders is this. You can violate your own restraining order, but they can't violate the restraining order. That's something else I learned. So because there was no happy medium, then he decided to try to drag this out. Unfortunately, a lot of mental anguish went in. I triggered with a lot of things during that time because what could have been done in 90 days, because we actually literally had nothing but a house that I did not want, ended up turning into 1 year, 2 months, and 9 days for me to get my maiden name back. And I did just like Tina. I'm gonna keep the name, and I meant my maiden name, not his name. I didn't want that name at all. But yeah, that's really about it. I don't know if anybody have any questions. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Miss Tracy. She has not responded to my text messages, nor has she logged on. So if nobody has any questions or any comments for me, I'll be sure to I'll answer anything if you want to. I say I've lost some people, but it's okay. If you want me to answer the questions, I can. If not, then I'm going to end this live. And we'll talk tomorrow because I'll be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow, I have the wonderful Jonathan Moore, another male perspective. I'm so excited. So you guys, I'll have 3 male perspectives this month. I'm so excited that me and decided to jump in this conversation because they seen the value and seen that, you know, we talk a lot of stuff and women always give their point of views and we show how we're damaged, we're hurt, how the negative connotation of divorce happens to us. And we never really hear a man's side and hear, you know, what happens to them and how they feel coming through the process of divorce. You know, do they feel as hurt and dejected as we do, even if it was their fault or if they take partial blame in the marriage failing? So I'm really interested to hear these conversations. So I can't wait. So tomorrow will be Mr. Jonathan Moore. And then I have a couple other females, which I'm excited to have on as well. A couple of my sisters are coming on at the end of the week. And then I have another male on the 22nd. Now here, heads up. I probably will not be on the 23rd through the 29th. I will try to be. Not going to make any promises. I will be on vacay. And when you vacay, you're supposed to vacay. So if I don't, I'll probably put some posts up. Just may not go live. You probably just see like a couple little informational memes or something like that to try to keep you all engaged. So I appreciate you all joining me tonight. Thank you so much. And I just want to repeat, you all are a blessing to me. And you guys do my heart good to come and sit and listen to me chit chat about this thing called divorce. So with that being said, this is your girl, Y Renee, signing off for tonight with Let's Talk About All Things Divorce. You all have a good evening.